What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the PrizePicks Show. Really fun show today. I have 13 six-pick plays already placed today, so hopefully this is a really fun one. We got two fantastic basketball games, including the start of OKC and Dallas, which should be a really fun series. Hopefully it comes even close to what Minnesota and Denver has been so far. That's been a blast to watch. Just from just a pure fan of basketball. It's been such high quality. Minnesota's putting on an absolute clinic defensively, and hopefully we can find more of the same in the PrizePicks streets today and throughout the rest of the series. And yeah, we are out here already. And I think the really fun thing about today is that we have kind of found something over on PrizePicks, a way to not necessarily stack, but to find like a correlated pairing of sorts that, quite frankly, PrizePicks should be guarding against a little bit more than they are. So we're not even going to discuss that on the show. That's going to be fully behind the paywall over in the FTNFantasy Discord. If you aren't yet a subscriber, just to remind you guys, it's now only $250 a year to be a DFS subscriber over at FTNFantasy, $44 a month. For just an extra $5, you also get access to all of the betting tools, content, and Discord. And that's also just an extra $50 a year. So $300 a year gets you everything, both of which, of course, also include all of the fantasy content, fantasy rankings. It's almost fantasy football season. We've at least got like some dynasty drafts starting, and Jeff's rookie fantasy scouting guide is just a fantastic resource for anybody who hasn't seen that just yet. That has a ton of implications right now. We're just past the NFL draft, but that's also going to help throughout the entire offseason for best ball drafts, and then even into the NFL season for DFS purposes. I'm going to continue to go back to that. Like every time, hey, it's week 4, there's an unknown rookie that's going to suddenly get a bunch of snaps at wide receiver. I know nothing about him. Jeff sure does. Let me go see what he had to say about him and see if he's somebody that I should be playing this week. All that being said, let's jump into today. I mentioned I got this core like pitcher and hitter pairing that we're not going to discuss here. It's going to be fully behind the paywall, but I will go through a ton of picks here on today's show. We're going to start with let's start on the MLB side of things here today. And let's take a look. Immediately we see two picks jump out at us. Kyle Harrison, more than 26.5 fantasy points. Reynaldo Lopez, more than 27.5 fantasy points. This one is really cool. It's in Coors Field. Coors hasn't been, the typical offensive haven that it usually is this year, part of which is just because the Rockies totally stink offensively. But I think there's also an element of, it hasn't really warmed up just yet, and it's not super warm today either. So I think the Coors aspect is being a little bit overrated by PrizePicks here. Harrison, also somebody that we are higher on than most. We can also go to Harrison, by the way, in strikeouts, and notice his line is 5.5. We've got him projected at 7.4. What I'm most interested in, he's got a demon at 6.5. Check out where we have this. Let's see, is that going to load better than that? We have this slightly over 55%, if I recall correctly. So if this doesn't load immediately right now, bottom line is this is a phenomenal demon. 62.6% now. It's probably a change in our projected lineup, or a change in the projected number of batters or pitches that he's going to be able to throw and face today. So this is as good as a demon will ever get. I absolutely love this one. We also have some other opportunities when we're correlating some demons today. So there are a number of routes we can go if you would rather use Harrison as a one-off, where you go to his fantasy points here. And this is over 70%. I think it was like 74.6%, something along those lines. Reynaldo Lopez, very similar up there. So these two are fantastic to start. 74% and then 70% for Reynaldo. So again, fantastic starting points here. If you want some one-offs, we can then immediately go in search of some pairings. So I always like to start the hits plus runs plus RBI for these. You can see Juan Soto is up at the top. Now, he's so good. He's around 63% that we don't have many other Yankees to go to. We can't even use Judge's 2.5 hits plus run plus RBI demon anymore. They just took that off the board. He's got a 0.5 RBI demon, but that demon doesn't even boost the odds the way we typically like to see. It looks like the tool's a little bit slow right now. Number one, I think we've got a lot of people on it because people are following the show. But also, I think it's a reflection of a lot of our games are just resimming in this exact time of day. So maybe we need to think about changing the time of the show by 15 minutes or something. But obviously, we like to do it at this time because we know a lot of you guys are on your lunch break now. So maybe we'll just keep it and we have to deal with a little bit of a slow tool every now and then. But that's all right. The point here being, I actually don't like pairing Soto with pretty much anybody on the Yankees. You can't even go and find fantasy points like Judge here at 7.5 fantasy points. It's nice, but if I recall correctly, it was 52.5%. Correlation is decent, but we can do better than that. So yes, this is a fine play. It's a fine pairing, but Soto's good here on his own, where you just use the 1.5 hits plus run plus RBI as a one-off and hope that everything else follows around him pretty well. You know, maybe it's not Judge driving him in, or maybe somebody gets on base before Judge or before Soto, and Soto drives them in and just hits that way. So you don't have to use a pairing here. Soto is our number one rated hitter. As just a baseline, he's got the highest baseline expected WOBA of anybody in baseball. So that's why he projects so damn well here. He really shouldn't be a guy that they are offering as at this 1.5 hit plus run plus RBI number. As long as they do, we're going to hammer it. But we can go some other places here for some hit plus run plus RBI demon pairings. Wilson Contreras looks fantastic here, 59.6%. Now, if we go to the Cardinals, it's not the greatest slew of guys behind him. Like Donovan is the best, but notice there's very little correlation here. Why is that? Well, Contreras hits second. Donovan's probably hitting seventh. That's where he was last game. So very little correlation between these two guys. So for my money, I'd rather go to fantasy points and add in Paul Goldschmidt more than 6.5. Now we get some really strong correlation, and Goldschmidt's more likely to get there anyway. You can also use this pairing with Contreras at 2.5 hits plus run plus RBI as a demon. Pick your poison, whatever you want to do. Again, we always want to build these 6-pick plays for 38x using just one demon. So maybe you'd rather go Contreras with the demon, Harrison fantasy points. Maybe you want to go Harrison strikeout demon, in which case you just do the regular hits plus run plus RBI for Contreras here. Let's see what else we got. Looks like one of the plays that I really liked was just bumped down. Just got a notification of that, so I won't talk through that one. But let's see what we can do here. So the next place is actually, I'll go right there. It's going to the Phillies, and apparently Harper has been bumped down where his 1.5 is now a goblin. I really liked this, and then just kind of deviating from the tool just a little bit with the hottest hitter in baseball, Alec Boehm, using his demon. It doesn't look like we have a good way of doing that anymore. Let's see, Harper at 8 fantasy points instead of 1.5 hit plus run plus RBI. That's not going to be anywhere near as valuable as that hit plus run plus RBI pick was. Yeah, just 46.7% here. So we're going to toss that one in the trash, and we just probably won't use this Philly pairing at all. Which takes me to the NBA streets. Let's go over to the NBA PrizePicks tool here. Yeah, exactly. Boehm for MVP. Really wish we could use that today, but hey, if they bumped Harper, we're kind of out of luck there. So I do still like the Boehm demon, but the reason I like that demon is because guys are getting on base in front of him and he's driving them in. And if we can't correlate with anybody, then the whole thesis of the play kind of gets thrown out the window. So sometimes you just have to say, you know what, I liked it, but PrizePicks did their job and they took it away from me, and we just have to live with that. On the NBA side of things, 2 plays I really like. Number 1, we're going to go to the steals department, and we get Josh Giddey less than 0.5 steals, only have him projected for 0.35. Believe this was at 67%. It might have been 70%, if I recall correctly, something along those lines. This is a really strong play. We've seen it all postseason. The number of turnovers are really down, unless you're Denver playing Minnesota. Then you tend to turn the ball over a lot. But turnovers are down, and Dallas is no exception. And when you think about the way that Dallas plays, the ball's always in Luka's hand. The ball's always in Kyrie's hand. Those guys are damn good with the ball. So the opportunities for steals, they also really slow the game down because of that. There's so much isolation, so much pick and roll. They love playing in the half court. And this also might be a series where Giddey doesn't get those bigger minute type nights, and they have that extra defense on the floor. Maybe it's a little bit more Kason Wallace and Lou Dort picking up 5 extra minutes a game or something like that, taking from Giddey. So I really like this under. Again, we've got it at 70%. I think that's really, really accurate. Then the next place that I'm going to go, turnovers. So same idea here. And let me remind myself what play this was. Oh, yeah. If there's a team that takes care of the ball, it's Boston. 1.5 turnovers for Derek White. I love the less than. He's only turned it over once so far in this postseason. And that was against a team in Miami that does a much better job defensively than Cleveland. So 62.6%. I almost think that this one is an underestimate, if anything. I would also put this one 65, 67, maybe even pushing that 70% number as well. So as you guys can tell, so many different picks that we love tonight. And again, the pairing that I love the most, we haven't even discussed yet. So go into that Discord, FTNFantasy.com, find the DFS Discord, find the Pick'em channel. Everything is right there. Let's have ourselves a great day. Thanks for tuning in. We'll catch you next time.